What's up, everybody?
I'm Connor.
And I'm Sydney, and you're on the Connor and Sydney channel. And this guy's back! It's been a while!
So we're not editing this video, so it's basically live.
Yeah, so whatever we say is what you get, so hopefully we don't say anything too crazy. But yeah, we're gonna try this new style this time, and we're gonna do a birth Q&A from the husband's perspective. We had our baby almost a year ago at this point. It's been like 11 and a half months. So hopefully he remembers a lot about the birth. But we did have a natural birth. If you haven't watched that video, I'll link it above. You can go watch it. But we did a natural birth at a birth center. So it's just gonna kind of be his perspective on that. If you want to start by giving your little summary of what the birth was like to you. Or like your overall thoughts on how it went.
So I thought it went, I don't know. I don't really even know what I was, sorry. The dog just stepped on itself.
Yeah, he did that, not us.
I don't really know what I was expecting. I know I was like nervous going into it, but I would say all in all, everything went pretty smooth. Yeah, you want to throw me a question?
Yeah, so how did you initially feel about me having a birth outside of the hospital, since we did choose to do a birth center?
So I remember like, so that's originally what I had hoped for or wanted, and then
he mentioned it to me.
Yeah, the closer we got to it, the more nervous I got, just because I was like, well, there's not any like immediate like obviously these nurses are like trained professionals, but it's like we don't have access to like modern medicine, or we can't do like surgery, or if something goes wrong, like, you know, even after the birth with our daughter, then like we still have to call an ambulance. So that's probably my biggest, that was like the closer we got to the birth, I think the more nervous I got, or maybe not nervous, but it was just in the back of my mind. So
yeah, I think I probably helped you be a little more calm about it, because he had mentioned to me maybe doing a natural, like at a birth center thing, and I was like, absolutely not. We're doing it in a hospital the right way. And so we started our first few appointments at like through a hospital, and then neither of us liked our experience. And then we both kind of transitioned to being like, maybe we should do like a home birth or a birth center. And the experience was so much better. But yeah, right before the birth, they always have to tell you like, you're probably not going to need any of this. Don't really get it in your mind, but here are like the rare cases of something that could happen, just so you know like what steps we would take. And yeah, those can kind of get to you sometimes, because you don't even want to be thinking about like the bad things that could happen. But
right.
Yeah. Okay. So, was the birth what you expected?
No, like I said, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. So it was all new territory for me. Yeah, it was kind of intense at some moments.
Was it as intense as you pictured, or more?
So I think going into it, every guy thinks like it's like a momentous occasion, you know, like there's going to be like a moment or two in there where like things are really like hitting home kind of, and I guess that happened. So probably not the way I expected, but yeah, this is I just want to iterate that this is just my perspective. I don't want to say that this is going to happen for every guy, or yeah, this is what to expect, but this is what happened with us, or with me, I guess.
Yeah, because the midwives, like, they have births that happen there every single day of the week pretty much. And even like a few days later when we met with them, they were saying like how every single birth that happened there that week was so different, and the dads played such a different role in each of them. And they said they've had some dads that will sit in the other room because they don't want to see it because it's too much for them. And then he was like one of the most hands-on dads that they had, because he was like doing as like the midwife is doing different things, but he's doing like as much.
Yeah,
or like
she's putting me to work.
You're doing like the heavy lifting, literally, like
but like the stuff that doesn't involve
like knowledge, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like literally the heavy lifting, like pushing on my back and like those kind of things. Okay. What was how is the labor process different from what you pictured? I guess we kind of talked about that one in the last question.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest part of the birth?
So I had to hold her up for a lot of it, or it felt like a lot of it. It was a while, a couple hours maybe.
Yeah,
I was
at
like
least
putting
2
pressure
hours.
on it. Well, she was like floating kind of on her back. Or
I was in a birthing tub.
Yeah. And I'm like trying to hold her up with both my arms. I remember
because the pressure on my back, if he did counter pressure on my back, it felt so much better. So like I would be sometimes like face up and you're putting counter pressure, but that means you're lifting me the whole time.
Like the third contraction, and I was like, my arms were shaking, and we did quite a few contractions.
Yeah.
100.
We'll just say that the head was out, visible to us for over 2 hours. Yeah, so it felt like a long time, I'm sure, for both of us. Yeah. Which it was hard for both of us in different ways physically.
Yeah.
Were you sore the day after? Do you remember?
I don't remember that, but I did get a nice pump.
Yeah, I'm sure. The sad part is also that I could feel you shaking, but there's nothing I could do about it. Like in any other case in life.
I would also put like washcloths on her head and stuff. Like,
yeah.
You know, she's in a nice warm tub and pushing and working. So
yeah.
There was a couple of different things I did, but yeah, definitely the one I remember is the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm. There was one part where that just kind of reminded me, because how you were putting like washcloths on me and he was like pouring water with a pitcher over my belly. Like they would just try everything to get me like as comfortable as possible. And I remember at one point she was like, get her like snacks or something, like give her a little bit of something. And so he grabbed fruit snacks and started like feeding them to me, and I was like not even moving. Like the only thing was just like my jaw slightly
grab
moving.
Her head and make her chomp.
Did you actually?
No.
I was like, I don't remember that. But the weird part about that is I didn't question it or even think about it, but his hands had been in my like bloody, gross water that like so much stuff was coming out of me. I don't even know what was in the water, honestly. But I know that you didn't go wash your hands. You just started feeding me, and I didn't question it or anything.
I have never even thought about that.
Really? Yeah, I've thought about it before where I'm like, didn't seem weird at the time, but it would seem weird now. Mm-hmm. I guess that kind of leads into the next one. Did anything gross you out during the birth, and how did you react to that, if so?
Not really. I mean, like when you're in it, you're just like she said, I was like very involved. So I was like, it wasn't like I just got thrown into the situation. It's like I was there when, like the day before when she started having contractions. I was like by her side and like trying to assist her. And then, so yeah, I was pretty much there with her step by step. So like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything really threw me for a loop.
Yeah. I remember afterwards, I don't know if it was when we were still at the birth center or if we had left or what, but I remember at some point afterwards you were explaining to me like, oh, you should have seen it down there. Everything was flipped inside out. It was crazy. And I'm like, really? Because like I couldn't see any of it. I could feel all of it, but it's just funny because he didn't act like surprised or like, oh my gosh, like he was just doing his thing and helping me. But I also sort of think if you have an involved husband, like he's been through the whole pregnancy with you, and weird stuff happens with your body the whole pregnancy. So I feel like you're kind of prepared by that point. Like you've been putting pills up inside you and like all sorts of weird stuff by that point.
I wasn't putting pills inside me.
Yeah. Yeah, just to clarify. Did it make it sound that way?
It did.
Oh, yeah, no, that was me. And like garlic and stuff, putting it up in you, and me, not him. There's a lot of weird things that they tell you to do during pregnancy, and you just kind of go with it. I feel like if you're involved enough, then nothing in the birth is gonna really scare you.
Yeah.
Did you feel nervous or scared during the birth at any point?
Yeah, I did. There was like times where like she kept checking the heart rate, like, and it just like made me nervous. I was like, why is she like? So at the beginning, it was like she's checking the baby's heart rate like every 10 minutes or something. And then like closer to the end, when I was like crunch time, basically, like things were happening, she was like every 30 seconds. And I was just like, I was thinking, man, is everything okay? Like, you know, like why is she checking it so often?
Yeah. I guess I wasn't even thinking about it at that point.
But I think that's really the only thing that probably made me nervous.
But now that I think about it, we've like seen a movie where it was a real like documentary of someone that like did a home birth and something went wrong with the heart rate and it obviously ended up very badly. So like looking back on it, it makes me grateful that they were like so overly careful, like checking it, which is nice.
Yeah.
I remember also afterwards you said something about that you like got nervous with how long the baby's head was out because you're like, is something wrong? She's like, seems like she's really stuck. But you seemed like I never got that impression from you during the birth. You seemed like totally calm the whole time.
Yep.
You're just like cheering me on each push, which helped so much.
And I think that was like, it wasn't because I wasn't nervous, but it was just like, oh, I don't want to freak out and like, hey, can I talk to you in the hallway? Like, ask the nurse, you know, and then she's all of a sudden freaking out. She's supposed to be relaxed and letting things happen. But like, I'd just be like, oh, I don't know if that's supposed to be happening. It'd be nice to know more information. But
you're not like asking a lot of questions at that point.
Right, yeah. Like, I'm not trying to scare her with like a bunch of questions. Like, hey, is that normal? Is that normal? And then if she says no, then it's like, oh, well, then she's really not comfortable. Or she's wigging out.
Yep. Can you guys hear us? Can you hear him? It's live, so I'm not gonna be like adjusting the sound too much, so hopefully you can hear.
Speak louder.
Okay, so how did you feel when the baby finally came out?
I was relieved, like, once she, like, I knew she was good and I knew you were good. I feel like we're kind of not totally out of the woods, but it felt like, it's like, okay, like, things went the way they were supposed to. I know we had like a little more to go, you know, with like the placenta and stuff like that, but
it feels like a big hurdle.
Yeah, it feels like a big hurdle. It's like, okay, like the main objective is done. It's like, okay, everybody survived now.
Yeah, like the most painful, like hardest part, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say something about that. The cool thing is when she came out, I feel like everybody expects that you'd be like, oh my gosh, the baby, like crying about it or whatever. But I feel like, especially the way we did our birth, since it wasn't like a C-section or anything, we just experienced this super long labor together and then a super long delivery together. Well, fairly long, I would say. So after that, like your first words were like, good job, Sid, you did amazing, like that was crazy and stuff like that. So like you were talking more to me like immediately after, like cheering me on. And there's like one picture you can see you on the side like smiling so much and like holding on to my knee because you were like encouraging me or whatever, cheering me on from it. But I just think that was really sweet too, that it's like we're both so excited for this baby, but like you didn't forget about the mom in that situation. Yeah. Nice work. Okay. Do you have a favorite part about pregnancy, birth, labor, delivery, any of that?
No.
Nothing really?
No.
Well, you got to eat a lot of foods that I was eating.
I guess I got better at cooking.
You did.
I made pretty dope food there for a while.
He was like researching new recipes. He was like fully enjoying the fact that he was doing the cooking, and that was nice for me.
Yeah, like got good at making pretzels. What was the other thing?
It was hot pretzels, macarons.
Never mastered those, but
yeah. But you did a pretty decent job. Like I liked them. Yeah. One of my favorite parts, I know this wasn't about me, but was like the few days when I was having contractions, but they were like further spread apart, and we just had like days of relaxing at the apartment together and like trying to get oxytocin flowing. So he was like spoiling me with like massages and just all sorts of stuff, like making me nice food, and we're like dancing together and listening to music and eating pizza. It was just like it's like a good memory in my mind of those few days of like trying to get the baby out by like making me as like comfortable and happy as possible, you know?
Yeah. It's fun for you.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily fun.
Running around with pillows and
I had to do a few things that weren't funny either.
Yeah.
What did your role look like postpartum?
more food, man. I was just basically her assistant. Anything she needed, I was on it.
The midwife told you your job is 2 things, right? Bringing me what?
Food and water.
Yep. She said just like to be able to produce milk and stuff, you just need fed and you need water, and you can't really get out of bed. So Connor, that is your job, and he did a good job with it.
Yep.
You also would like run errands, and I think you like picked up a grocery delivery, and I don't know, you ran a few errands for me, got me some healing products and things.
Yep.
What part about having a kid has been easier than you expected?
I tell her this all the time, but I think we got really lucky with. So our daughter doesn't really cry unless there's something wrong. Like if she's hungry, she'll start fussing. And it's like, okay, we know to feed her. If she's like, oh, she's getting fussy and it's getting kind of late or whatever, then it's like, oh, it's time for bed or it's time for a nap. But like she might like fuss a little. She's like, you take something away from her, but you just hand her like an empty water bottle and
she's good again.
Yeah. So
has anything?
I think it's been really. It's been smooth. I was like, man, everybody says the first kid's the hardest. And I'm just like, if we have another kid as easy as Ricky, then I would be extremely surprised.
Seems hard to imagine.
Yeah, I think that what people refer to when they say that is just the transition from 0 to 1, like 0 kids to 1 kid. It's a tough,
it's a lot to learn.
Yeah. But yeah, wasn't. I don't think that. I think it's been nice. It's been worth it.
Yeah. What's been the hardest part about having a kid? Or something that's been harder than you expected?
I don't know. It's all been pretty easy, I think.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, you kind of know it's all coming, and then Ricky came, and it's like, oh, it's not so bad. It's like, oh, you can't just go on dates 1-on-1, which are like, it's
that
like
is a hard part.
Something that we miss, but it's like, oh, it's still nice having our kid with us. Like we like being around her and stuff, so it's not like brutal just always being around.
It doesn't feel like you're babysitting.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, she's still being cute. She's talking.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
But finding that one-on-one time is harder.
Yep.
But.
All right, 2 more questions.
Okay. Would you feel nervous or more prepared to go through it again for future kids?
I would feel the exact same, I think.
Really? Going into it too?
Yeah. I think it's like, well, stuff can still happen, and like there's just not like you can't just go 1 floor down or like 3 rooms over. A doctor can't come in and just be like, okay, let's do surgery. You know, it's like call an ambulance. We're still 30 minutes away from hospital, so it's not, there's like nothing immediate about like if there's a crisis.
Yeah, because we don't live like in a city right now or anything.
So.
But before it was like 10 minutes away, so it was a little easier where we lived before when we had Ricky.
I think,
would you feel more prepared though? Like since you've been through it, you know, like
that wasn't like super. I think I would probably do like some bicep curls leading up to the pregnancy, but I think that's really the only way I would feel more prepared.
Well, like they tell the mom to do squats and stuff to prepare her legs for.
There's not a lot for me to prepare for. It's like you just got to be there and like, you know, towels on the head, cook food, do whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever somebody needs you to do, you just got to be ready to. Because you're not like the smart person in the room. You're the dumb one. So it's okay, dummy. Grab a washcloth.
They're like ordering you around, so you just got to be ready.
Which is fine, and not like demeaning or anything. I'm happy to do it, but.
So then, what advice would you give to other men who are about to become dads, whether it's pregnancy, labor, postpartum, any of it?
Man, you're gonna have to pick the ball up a little bit. I mean, it depends how your marriage is, because she mostly filled a lot of the stereotypical woman's duties. So like cooking and cleaning, like you're probably gonna have to stay on top of that. Or she'll tell you when it's getting bad, you know? It's like, hey, do the dishes. Something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I would say be ready to pick up the ball.
Yeah, it doesn't last forever, so like if you can just fill some of the
it's
gaps.
Probably
that are...
only like a month or two. It's not like as soon as she gets pregnant, all of a sudden, you know, it's not like she gained 3 pounds and all of a sudden I'm doing the laundry.
Yeah. Yeah, just being there for the wife to
that's a big
like support, not just verbally, but also like picking up the slack. It's big.
Maybe lay off on side stuff, play basketball 2 or 3 times a week, you know, and you're gone for a couple hours. Might be nice to be around the house more.
Yeah.
You know, she needs you.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. Anything else to say?
Not really.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. If you have any other questions, drop it in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And remember that what God says about you is way more important than what the world says about you. See ya!
See ya.